Welcome back to another League Two roundup. Bit of a different roundup today because, of course, League Two followers will know that not many games actually went ahead at the weekend in League Two, but there were plenty of League Two teams in action in the FA Cup, and with some transfers happening over the last few days as well, I thought this would be the perfect time to just do a roundup of all things League Two. So we have got some League Two games to talk about, some transfers as well, and of course the FA Cup. Without further ado, let us get stuck right into the action. And we are going to start in League Two. As we can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we've got Walsall against Tranmere, which was a, huge result for Walsall because it extends their lead at the top of the table. Was it an expected result? Absolutely it was. Of course, Walsall top of the table. Now a massive 14 points ahead of fourth place, and they've still got a game in hand. This weekend couldn't have been more perfect for Walsall. As I say, other teams obviously not playing around them. They got the chance to play at home against a Tranmere side that frankly looked pretty toothless. Nigel Adkins holding on to his job. They are just one place above the drop zone. I think they'd be in a lot of trouble. They're in a lot of trouble anyway, but I think they'd be in a lot more trouble if the bottom two were a little bit better than they are. They're pretty poor standard this season. They are 5 points above the drop as it stands, but the way that they're going, I can't see them. I can see them staying up, but I think it'll be difficult. I can't see them maintaining that 5 point gap, is what I was going to say. Only scored 18 goals this season. It's absolutely terrible. Tranmere had high expectation for them this season, and they just have failed to live up to that. Absolutely. At the start of the season, they were a team I put down as one of the strongest in terms of physicality, and I think that's one of the things you need to win the league is that levels of fitness, athleticism. But maybe we were looking at the wrong team. I mean, I did say that Walsall had it as well, but we didn't realise quite how much athleticism they had in their side. Liam Gordon doing brilliant work down my left-hand side. I want to give him some credit because I know in the tactical breakdowns, I'd focused on Conor Barrett on the right-hand side, but Gordon was excellent. Taylor Allen with 2 assists from centre-back. Jamil Matt getting a brace. If you want to more things Walsall, check out the channel. There's a few videos on there about Walsall tactical breakdown, a breakdown of an individual game as well. Plenty of Walsall chat on there. But 5-1, emphatic, keeps them top of the table. They would have been top anyway, but it extends that lead, and they've got 1 foot in League One now. They really, really have. The only other game in League Two was a 0-0 draw between Swindon and Crewe. Good result for Swindon. This game was paused sort of 5 minutes in, actually, because of fog or mist or whatever you want to call it, visibility issues. And if you go and find that either on my page over on X or just find it on there, it was pretty bad. It was pretty reasonable why they did stop the game. This was a game, one of only 2 games that went ahead. Maybe Crewe will be wishing that this game didn't go ahead. Swindon will definitely be glad that it did. A clean sheet for them. Jack Bycroft back in goal. Glad to see that. Will Wright as well, according to Football Man of the Match. But a clean sheet, nonetheless, pretty significant for Swindon. Crewe, they'll feel maybe this is points dropped considering they are second in the league. You know, the gap to top of the league, Walsall did grow by 2 points. And maybe they'll feel that maybe on another day, they would have benefited from that game being postponed and playing it again. But then again, they won't have the congestion later on. It's a decent point away from home. Swindon have been improving. Yes, they're still down there in the danger zone. Yes, on the same amount of points as Tranmere, but they've been much better since Ian Holloway has come in. Out of the teams down there near the bottom, they're one of the teams that can actually have been rising pretty consistently up over the last few weeks, at least in terms of points gained. Maybe not positions, but they've definitely become more competitive, and I think they're going to be fine. I think they've got the quality in their squad as well. So all in all, actually not an awful result for Crewe, who have done some more good business off the pitch. They extended Lee Bell's contract earlier in the season, and they've now gone and extended Matis Holacek's contract as well. The young attack-minded midfielder getting a contract extension, and that's great news for him and for the club because of protecting their asset there, because I think he will eventually move on. We then, talking of moving on, we move on to the FA Cup. We'll go through FA Cup games, then we'll do a bit of transfer chat at the end. But of course, loads of games postponed. I guess I could quickly talk about Grimsby Notts. I'm not going to labour the point too much, but it was frustrating from a Notts point of view. No pitch inspection planned on Thursday night. There's no pitch inspection planned on Friday night, for the following morning. But then the following morning came and there was, of course, a pitch inspection. I think that is the biggest sticking point that Notts fans have with the Grimsby call off. I think everyone expected it to be postponed, but saying there would be no inspection at all was perhaps a little bit short-sighted. But it happened. Games get called off. People are frustrated in the moment, but I think that you can see the amount of games called off. It was kind of expected that this would happen. Temperatures have been very, very, very cold. But League Two teams have the benefit of playing away to Premier League level sides in the FA Cup, and that meant that their games would go ahead, of course, under soil heating and things of that nature. The first one was Liverpool against Accrington. In all honesty, one-sided as it gets. Accrington didn't really ever threaten. And that's expected. Of course it's expected. I thought the great narrative of the game was on the wings. The 16-year-old for Liverpool playing against a 37-year-old Sean Wally for Accrington. We mentioned a lot on this channel. Unchanged they were, and they tried to give them the best account of themselves possible, but it was pretty backs against the wall stuff. The pick of the bunch, obviously the Trent Alexander-Arnold goal, and that showed the difference in levels, I think. And the Saturday, as a whole, showed the difference in levels between League Two and the top echelons of football. The Alexander-Arnold goal, if you haven't seen it, they step off him for half a second and he puts it top corner. In League Two, you probably don't have to step into any player, and you can probably give him that half a second space. He's not going to put it in top corner. But Alexander-Arnold, of course, plenty of world-class players in that Liverpool team, maybe not in the team, but in the squad in general, and showing that, absolute levels between them. And like I said, as a whole, if you actually look at the four teams that played, I'm not going to talk about all four. In Liverpool, Accrington, you had Chelsea, Morecambe, you had Leeds, Harrogate, and Man City, Salford. Across the four games, the score was 18-0 to the opposition. League Two teams didn't register a goal and conceded 18 goals between them across four games. Chelsea, Morecambe. This one was, it's not loading here. Probably don't, they want to see the one-sided nature of this one. But once again, pretty backs to the wall kind of stuff for Morecambe. Again, has to be expected. Morecambe and Accrington, two teams that are down in the bottom in League Two anyway. Two of the bottom sort of 4 or 5. So, to be expected. It's not like you've got the two sides that are, Walsall, who are flying at the top, might go there full of confidence. And it didn't happen. Another team that are down in the bottom are Harrogate. They get the best account of themselves in a local derby, you could say. I know there's not a lot of bad blood, I don't think. And a lot of Harrogate supporters and Leeds fans, there's a lot of that conversation around that. I don't know too much about it. So Harrogate fans, if you're watching, that's incorrect. Apologies. I'm just relaying what I've read on the situation. But gave a much better scoreline. And they haven't got the in-depth stats of this one. But Leeds are a huge club, Premier League level club, aren't they? And they probably will be a Premier League team next season. But a much better account themselves, Harrogate. But again, they're a team down near the bottom of League Two as well. So when you look at the teams that are actually through the next round of the Cup, and that could be an impact, playing an extra game in the Cup, and that could be why they're not doing as well. I think it's the only reason. I think the three teams we've mentioned there aren't doing so great. But there was one team that had confidence going into this game, and they were the team that were dispatched of the most. And of course, the last video on the channel is a tactical breakdown of Salford. I don't think that they really did themselves justice in this one, in truth. Man City, pretty one-sided, 8-0, maybe slightly harsh, but 4.87 XG is huge. Wasn't Salford's finest performance. I did say in that tactical breakdown, which you can go and watch, that teams that have confidence and quality will be able to play through Salford due to the way that they play. And whilst it was a heavily rotated Man City team, you've got Jack Grealish, you've got Doku, Gundogan, Savinho. These are players, Ake, Edison in goal. These are players, and Mateus Nunes as well. These are players that have cost millions and millions and millions of pounds. McAtee, who's supposedly linked away from a move for millions of pounds. So was it ever going to be a close game? Possibly not. But Salford set up in the same shape that they do. What's incredible is that Matty Young conceded 8 goals in this one. That's 8 times more than he has in the last 9 games. It's a fun little stat for you. But the Saturday was did not cover the League Two teams in all that much glory, to be honest with you. But it was a little bit more hopeful as we headed into the Sunday. 2 games, obviously, to cover in that one. But like I say, 18-0 on aggregate for the Saturday games. not brilliant. But the first of the Sunday games was, in fact, a positive result for League Two. I think we would have taken, as League Two neutral, looking at a neutral perspective, would have taken a goal being scored. This was definitely the game that had the best chance of doing it. A Championship team in Hull, one that aren't doing that well this season. Doncaster, who are near the top end of League Two. So, again, a little bit of a better chance than your Harrogates, your Morecambes, your Accringtons. Not only did Doncaster score, they scored first. Took the game to extra time. Would have been a replay, of course, in other seasons, and I don't want to get onto that topic because I think people that follow me over on X will know my thoughts and feelings on that. Tamworth, a non-league team, another league that I do cover, robbed of a replay at Spurs, but we won't get onto that in too much detail. But it did go to extra time. It did go to penalties, and despite missing first, Joe Ironside missing the penalty, a player you probably put your money on to actually go ahead and score. It was actually two late misses for Hull and saw Doncaster go through to the next round of the Cup. So League Two not only had a goal, we've also got a representative in the next round of the FA Cup. A massive, massive result for Doncaster. Yes, this was likely to be a closer game. And a few weeks ago, there was a world where these two teams would have been in the same division next season. So, they're not a million miles off, your likes of your Accringtons are to Liverpool and Morecambe are to Chelsea. You're not a million miles off. But even so, it's still super, super impressive. And yeah, delighted for Doncaster and delighted for League Two in general that not only we got a goal on the score sheet, so the tally, the aggregate score was not too high, but we also got a representative in the next round of the Cup as well. And talking of taking the lead in FA Cup ties, we move on to the final game that we're going to cover today, which is Newcastle against Bromley. Bromley did take the lead in this one. It's taken a little while to load, but it was Cameron Congreve gave them the lead very early on. And it looked like, wow, we've had a cup set early on with Doncaster. Could we get an even bigger one away at Newcastle? The Andy Woodman derby, one of his former sides, obviously. Could we get an even bigger upset? But pretty quickly, Newcastle were back in it and just after half time got a penalty and then ended up seeing the game out. But absolutely no disgrace in it whatsoever for Bromley. A really, really good account of themselves. Again, like I say, not the one-sided game. And to be fair, in terms of possession and the way that Bromley play, that's how they play anyway, week in, week out in League Two. It's all about setting up on the counter and things like that. But, even more so against the Premier League level side. But taking the lead, definitely the Sunday went a lot better than the Saturday did for League Two sides. So both teams actually managed to get on the score sheet. Both took the lead. And whilst it wasn't a cup set, it was one of the biggest moments in the club's history, taking the lead at St James's. So, yeah, not too disappointing, I think, for Bromley. Probably expected. And done League Two proud anyway. And talking to Bromley, they, of course, signed Nicky Kabamba during the week, and he was cup tied, so couldn't play in that game against Newcastle. Let's move on to some transfer chat as we talk about Nicky Kabamba. And that is a really good signing for Bromley. It's a reported figure, six figures fee for him. That's a lot to pay for a player that is the other side of 30, admittedly, but he's had a very, very strong time of it over the last few seasons. Andy Woodman really using his knowledge base of the National League. There were reports they were linked with other strikers that are based up north, but Kabamba, of course, coming from another London club in Barnet. And Andy Woodman has shown that before. He's willing to recruit from other sides in the National League. Olufella Olamola, who's up front for them, he's on the bench. He came from Wealdstone. Levi Manchi, who's the other striker on the bench, came from Maidstone, obviously National League South. Ashley Charles also came from Walsall, so they're not afraid to pick up players from the National League. In fact, I would say that's probably, other than the loans that Andy Woodman's able to get from his former clubs, Newcastle being one of them, but also your Arsenals. Other than those loans, I'd say the biggest market that they shop in is the National League and National League South. And yeah, this is a really good signing for them. It should lessen the burden on Michael Cheek, who has been fantastic for them, but like I say, it's his first season in the Football League and will give him a chance to maybe not be so reliant on him coming into the second half of the season. It should definitely go some way to helping them secure their Football League status for next season, which is important. With Levi on the bench, I would have kind of maybe hoped they would develop him a little bit if I'm honest, because he's a young striker. Nicky Kabamba, like I say, is the wrong side of 30, but he's a very good forward. And on Kabamba, he deserves his chance at the Football League. He really does deserve his chance. He's scored over 50 goals in 100 appearances, something along those lines. The stats on my head, but it's around that for Barnet. He's been absolutely excellent for them over the last couple of seasons, and he more than deserves to step back into the Football League, and this time hopefully be used properly as a forward rather than a winger. And I think Dean Brennan's development of him deserves a lot of credit, and I think that Bromley will use him down the middle. I hope they do. I hope they don't move him out wide like other clubs have done, because he deserves that chance to step up and play down the middle. Some other transfers to talk about. We talk about Salford, how they struggled against Man City, and is Stephen Negru being recalled by Oxford a massive blow for them? Yes, it is. He didn't play the last game against Dons, but he would have definitely helped them in the heart of defence against Man City. Would he have kept the score down? Who knows? It's hypothetical. But what has been rumoured heavily, and I don't know by the time this video is out, maybe it'll be confirmed, is that Bradford City are going to make a move for Negru. Now, that would be a completely baffling move to me from everyone's perspective other than Bradford. For Bradford, it'd be a bit of a coup, I'll be honest. To bring in a player who's been excellent for Salford, a team that are above them, a team that are in the automatic promotion places. He's been an integral part of their run. He's a young defender. He's fantastic. He's capable on the ball. He's, like I say, a strong defender, good athlete. All those things. It would be a fantastic signing for them. But from a Salford perspective and an Oxford United perspective, to recall him anyway when he's getting good game time at Salford was interesting. But then send him back to the same level would be baffling to me. If you're going to recall him, either play him or give him a League One loan. I mean, I'm a big fan of leaving players where they are for development, but I understand teams want to step up the development in terms of getting them into League One, getting them more games at a high level so that he's more ready, either if Oxford go down and ready for next season, or he's got a step closer to the Championship where they want to be still next season. But to loan him to Bradford would be odd, but it would be a great signing for them. It would be a blow for Salford, though. Talking of Bradford, they also brought in Tommy Lee from MK Dons. Really nice signing, this one. Tommy Lee, yes, he's not had the best time at MK Dons, but I don't think an under par 6 months should define a player. You know, he was 6 months ago, even 12 months ago when he was at Accrington. He was tipped for League One moves. League One sides were looking at him. He's very, very capable, well-rounded physically. He can play as a 10, play up front, play in midfield. Got that nice versatility to him. And I think this is a really good signing for Bradford because, like I say, 12 months ago, he was a League One player minimum. Felt like a really good signing when MK Dons got him. And yes, it hasn't worked out for him there. But hopefully for his sake, it will at Bradford. And if they get him back to the sort of Accrington level player that he was, then they're going to have a player who's fantastic. He's played in League One before and didn't look out of place. Was one of Accrington's better players in that, probably their best player, if not, the best and one of the best in that League One run they had. So towards the back end, so he's a really good pickup for Bradford on a permanent. Talking of MK Dons, the final transfer I'm going to talk about in today's roundup is Jay Williams. That is an excellent signing. Crawley fans will say, he's a bit temperamental. His temperament could do some work, and I think that makes him the player he is, though. That aggression that he shows, that little bit of bite in the field. And yes, he's been out of the side a little bit, but he's he's one of Scott Lindsay's top players when he was at Crawley. He was fantastic. In fact, he's probably the most important player to that Crawley side that went up. When he was towards the back end of the season, he was close to getting the suspension near the playoffs, and that was a huge worry for them. He was so integral. He has the legs in midfield. He will allow MK Dons to really adapt and play the way that Scott Lindsay does, because he likes to play with a single midfielder in there, and then the other midfielder alongside him, which will probably be Liam Kelly, which it was at Crawley. They've got that midfield too now. Will push up and be a 10, and then the 10 will push up and be a centre forward. And Jay Williams will be able to do the legwork and cover, and he understands the rotations, he understands who he has to cover, and he's got that pure, raw athleticism to do it. So, yeah, I think that's a fantastic signing for MK Dons. And yes, at the moment, they're stuttering a little bit. They're currently in 11th. They've got a couple of games in hand on the teams in the playoffs, though. And I think with Jay Williams' arrival, they can really put a run together that we've expected them to do all season. And I think come the end of the season, they will be in those top 7 places, especially if they can make a few more additions of that calibre. And that brings us to an end of another League 2 roundup. Hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a different video. I was obviously originally planning not to do one when all the postponements came in, but I thought actually you guys might appreciate one with the FA Cup talk in there as well, and a little bit of transfer chat as well. So hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, please do a like. It does help get the video out to more eyes, and that obviously is how we help grow the channel and then therefore make the content more consistent for you guys. The main way we could do that is by subscribing. We're over 900 now, so thank you so much for the 900 of you that have subscribed. It means a lot, it really does. If we can get to 1,000, I don't think I'll be saying that this early on, but if we could get to 1,000, that would be absolutely massive. That would be huge for the channel. That is a significant milestone, not just in terms of just pure numbers, but also would allow us to do so much more. And like I say, produce more regular content. So that is ultimately the aim. So yeah, if you could do either of those things, and of course, comment below what you thought of the video, what you thought of your team's performance this weekend if you played, what your hopes are for the rest of the season. We've got other videos planned on the channel, hopefully coming out this week as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.